Yeah. I read the recent chapter 1101, and Oda has retconned the entire story of One Piece. One Piece is dead. The story is a complete joke now. Imagine reading this shit for 20 years, only for it to end up like this. And what's more insane is that the One Piece reviewers are going to ignore all the plot holes, all the retcons. They are just going to pretend that yeah, the story is amazing. While I'm the only one on this site exposing how bad the story actually is. If you actually pay attention to the story, if you actually, look at the story, you read the fucking chapter, you would be like, what is this shit? This is the worst written thing I have ever seen in my life. Okay, so let's start. In chapter 1095, RANT, I said that Oda retconned the entire story because apparently Kuma knew the entire time that Luffy was the sun god, and that's why Kuma decided to send Luffy to Amazon Lily and save the Straw Hats from Kizaru. When I read chapter 1095 for the first time, it was obvious to me that this is what Oda is planning. But I got a lot of comments saying that, Mystic D Chimp, you have no idea what you are talking about. You're just making shit up. You're a liar. This never happened. This never happened. 6 chapters later, everything I said in chapter 1095 RANT, it happened. It actually happened. Because unlike the One Piece fanboys, I know how Oda thinks, okay? I think to myself, what is the most lazy way to write a story? And then I'll be like, okay, so I'm a lazy mangaka, I want to finish this shit as soon as possible. I want to go fishing, but Shonen Jump and my editors force me to keep writing this shit. So I'm gonna have to create some very stupid things to finish the story as soon as possible. So I could retire, go fishing, finish this story in my lifetime. Because Shonen Jump wants me to keep writing One Piece for 100 years. I put myself in Oda's shoes. I think, what is the most cheap and easy way to write a story? And I predict the future of One Piece. This isn't the first time I have predicted the story of One Piece correctly. Like 2 or 3 months before Im-sama blew up an entire island like a Dragon Ball character. I said that One Piece is going to end up like Dragon Ball. Im-sama and Luffy are going to fly in the sky, shooting energy balls at each other, destroying entire islands. I also said that Kaku and Lutzi are going to have awakening abilities. A month before it was revealed that these 2 characters have awakening abilities. How did I know that? Well, it's because Oda has run out of Paramecia abilities to use. And every single time an old villain returns, you have to give them an awakening ability so they would be able to fight against super amazing princess god Luffy. Okay, so what did this chapter reveal? I said in my chapter 1095 RANT that Kuma knew about Luffy being Nika the entire time. That's why he sent Luffy to Amazon Lily, that's why he protected the Thousand Sunny ship. Oda retconned the entire story of One Piece before the reveal of Kuma knowing about Nika. It was always established that Kuma decided to help the Straw Hat Pirates because he worked for the Revolutionary Army. He knew Dragon and he probably knew that Luffy was Dragon's son. But no, now it's revealed that Kuma knew about Nika the entire time. And that's why he saved Luffy, because he knew that Luffy was Nika the entire time. Now, I love the fact that Nika was first mentioned in chapter 1018. From 1997 until 2021, the sun god Nika didn't exist. This character called Nika never mentioned by anyone, ever. The only sun god that ever existed in the entire story of One Piece was a giant snake that was worshipped in ancient Skypeia by stupid people. The stupid people worshipped a wild animal as a god, as the sun god, earth god, rain god, forest god. The giant snake wasn't Nika. It was just sun, earth, rain, forest. It was the people's god, okay? Because the people were very stupid and backwards, and they believed that the giant snake, the wild animal, was a god. And this wild animal was the only mention of the sun god in the entire story of One Piece until chapter 1018 when Nika was first named. Before Wano, there wasn't a single character that said, I worship the sun god Nika, the freer of slaves, you know, the sun god Nika. Everyone knows about him. No, here's what happened. Here's what happened in the story of One Piece. Like 20 chapters before Luffy fought against Kaido, Nika was revealed. Before that, Hyogoro mentioned the sun god. And then Luffy fought against the strongest creature alive. Oh, the strongest creature alive. And he was killed by Kaido. After being killed by Kaido, Luffy woke up from death with all his injuries healed as a god. 100 times stronger, and he was easily able to defeat the so-called strongest creature alive. And after Luffy was revealed as the sun god Nika, now, only after the sun god Nika was revealed, there are characters coming out of every direction saying, I knew about Nika the entire time. Well, I also heard about the sun god Nika. From 1997 until 2021, sun god Nika never mentioned by a single character in the entire story. But now it's revealed that Kuma's father knew about Nika, and Kuma knew about Nika, and Bonnie knew about Nika, and of course the world government knew about Nika. Shanks knew about Nika, Kizaru knew about Nika, Vegapunk knew about Nika. Everyone and their mother always knew about the sun god Nika. No one ever mentioned the sun god named Nika, ever. But after the story reveals that, yeah, sun god Nika exists, he is a, established thing in the story. Only after then, oh yeah, Nika, yeah, I know about Nika. You know about him, my mom knows about him, your mom knows about him, everyone knows about him. Not a retcon at all. No, genius writing by Oda. Oda has planned out the story from the start. This isn't a retcon. I went on a long rant and I haven't even talked about what happened in this chapter. And I still have the sunboard video that I'm gonna do right after I'm done talking about this. So yeah, this is probably going to be one of the longest videos I have ever made. Oh, what's the sunboard, you're asking? Well, I decided that I'm gonna take every single reference of the sun in One Piece and I'm gonna debunk all of them. All the references. Because a lot of One Piece fanboys keep telling me that, well, for example, Frankie was wearing a shirt that had a sun on it. Therefore, sun god Nika was foreshadowed by Oda. Stupid things like these. Okay, so let's get to the chapter. It is revealed that Kuma knew about Luffy the entire time. He knew Luffy was Nika because when Luffy was 16 years old, when Luffy was a teenager, Kuma decided that he is going to stalk Luffy. He's going to hide in the bushes and smack his lips together, lick his lips and be like, yeah, Luffy, I'm watching you, boy. Yeah, train Luffy, train your little sun god body while I stare at you in the bushes like a creepy motherfucker. So yeah, that's what Kuma was doing when Luffy was 16 years old. Kuma hid in the bushes, staring at Luffy's body. Yum. Yeah, so Kuma was doing that when Luffy was 16 years old. At the end of the chapter, we saw a flashback from Bonnie, where Bonnie was dancing the sun god Nika dance with Kuma. By the way, that dance in Skypeia literally had nothing to do with the sun god at all. But Oda retconned the dance into the sun god dance. Because that makes sense. I mean, on Skypeia, the people didn't worship a sun god. Ancient Skypeians worshipped the giant snake, the wild animal, as a multiple different gods. You know, sun, rain, earth, forest god. It wasn't just the sun god. There was no single sun god in Skypeia. And when Luffy danced the so-called sun god dance, sun god Nika dance, there wasn't a single character in the background saying, "Oh my god, look at this, Luffy and Usopp are dancing the sun god Nika dance." On Skypeia it was just a dance, nothing to do with the sun god Nika at all. But apparently now it was established as the sun god Nika dance. Because Oda retconned the story, because Oda is a lazy hack. So yeah, when Kuma and Bonnie were dancing the sun god dance, never established as the sun god dance, by the way. Bonnie asked Kuma, "Hey man, hey daddy, do you know what the sun god looks like?" And Kuma was like, "He has rubber abilities, like Luffy." Well, he didn't say Luffy, but he said, "Yeah, he has rubber abilities." So everything I said in my chapter 1095 rant was true. Kuma knew the entire time that Luffy was the sun god Nika. That's why Kuma decided to send Luffy to Amazon Lily. How did Kuma know that Boa Hancock is going to fall in love with Luffy, help Luffy try to break into Impel Down to save Ace? I guess Oda never actually... Yeah, that's a plot hole, isn't it? But I'm not even done yet. We haven't even gotten to the sunboard, and I still have one more thing to say. This chapter showed us Stussy working for Vegapunk. I always said that it was very stupid that Stussy, a creation of Vegapunk, was able to infiltrate the most secret organization on the planet, and then she, the creation of Vegapunk, was sent after Vegapunk, and then the world government acted shocked that the creation of Vegapunk betrayed them to protect its creator. I always imagined that maybe Stussy worked for the CP0 agency for decades, gaining their trust. But no, it turns out that she has worked for them for only a couple of years. Because 4 years ago, she was with Vegapunk. So why did they allow a new member of CP0 that was created by Vegapunk to go after its master? And why did they act shocked when she betrayed them? So this chapter not only revealed that Oda has retconned the entire story, it also revealed that Oda does not give two shits about what he writes, because the story is very stupid. So now let's get to the sunboard. I'm gonna take every single example of the sun mentioned in the story of One Piece. And I'm gonna prove that Sun God Nika literally came out of nowhere, and these mentions of a sun or the sun-like objects never had anything to do with Luffy, never had anything to do with Nika. And then I'm gonna prove that there is more proof that the moon has a moon god or something like that. Because there is more evidence of characters gaining weird abilities because of the moon. And the sun god, well, there was never any real foreshadowing for the sun god. There is a sun in One Piece, and that has something to do with Luffy being Nika. How exactly? Yeah, so let's move on to the next thing. Frankie wore a shirt with a sun on it. Therefore, Nika was foreshadowed, right? Luffy wore a shirt with sunflowers on it. Oda is a genius. This was foreshadowing that Luffy is the sun god. Okay, whatever. I mean, these excuses are real ridiculous. I've actually heard from One Piece fanboys many times that Luffy wearing a sunflower shirt, Frankie wearing a sun shirt, was actually foreshadowing. I mean, Oda writes a completely plot hole filled retcon story, and the One Piece fanboys will make up every stupid excuse imaginable to defend this stupid story. The very first arc in One Piece was called the Romance Dawn. Do you get it? Dawn means the sunrise. Nani? Was I wrong? Oda was a genius the entire time? No, this can't be. No. Thousand Sunny's head looks like a sun. Okay. This is foreshadowing that Luffy is the sun god. How exactly? There are pirates in One Piece called the Sun Pirates. And they are famous because they worshipped Nika. Oh wait, the Sun Pirates never once mentioned Nika. I mean, wouldn't it make more sense for the Sun Pirates to mention Nika, so there would be some foreshadowing for Nika before Luffy actually turned into the Sun God? The fact that the Sun Pirates never mentioned Nika by name establishes the fact that Oda pulled Nika out from his ass. Luffy uses an attack called the Snake Man. Oh my god, I have been debunked. Oda is a genius. Because on Skypeia, the sun god was a giant snake, a wild animal. And Luffy used an attack called the Snake Man. This makes complete sense now. We have a giant snake as the sun god and other gods, but we're gonna ignore that. And Luffy was the Snake Man. Holy shit! What amazing foreshadowing by Oda. Big Mom had a living son as a weapon. And this has to do with Nika. How exactly? I could understand if Luffy had a living son, then I would be like, okay, this is kind of weird. Maybe Nika actually was foreshadowed. But an evil Yonko has a living son. Yeah, okay, so what? What does this have to do with Nika? Luffy's red half attack makes his arm burn with the sun god's flame. Except for the fact that the reason why Luffy's arm burns during the red half attack is the same reason why Sanji's leg burns during Diablo Jumbo attack. Luffy's hand moves so fast that it creates friction that causes fire. This is the same reason why Diablo Jumbo makes Sanji's leg catch on fire, because Sanji rubs his leg on the floor, creating friction that causes his leg to catch on fire. Nothing to do with Nika. And by the way, fire is one of the most common abilities used by characters in One Piece. There have been so many characters that don't even have devil fruits and they are able to use fire-based abilities. For example, Ideo is able to punch so hard that his attacks cause explosions. Damask is able to breathe fire. King has fire-based abilities because of his race. And there are probably 10 other characters that have fire-based abilities in One Piece. And now the final example. Luffy's shadow looks exactly like Nika's silhouette. You know, this would be amazing foreshadowing if Nika's silhouette came before Luffy's shadow. For example, we get to Skypeia, we see a statue of Nika or something like that. Or a flashback of Nika and we see this silhouette. And later when Luffy dances around the campfire, we see Luffy's shadow. And it looks similar to Nika's silhouette. Then that would be amazing foreshadowing. But no, that's not what happened. We saw Luffy's shadow in chapter 200 something, 250 I think. And 750 chapters later, we see Nika for the first time. And Nika looks like Luffy's shadow from way back in Skypeia. This isn't foreshadowing. This is Oda going back to the past, lifting ideas from the past and pretending that he is a genius at foreshadowing. So yeah, I think I've proven that this Nika nonsense came out of nowhere. I think I've proven already that Oda retconned the entire story of One Piece. because he randomly decided to turn Luffy into a god, because he had no idea how Luffy would be able to defeat the strongest creature alive without a godly power-up. I mean, that's exactly what happened. And now, because Oda created this Nika god out of nowhere, he is now trying to retcon the entire story. I mean, what's happening is clearly a retcon of the entire story. This Sun God Nika reveal created so many plot holes in the story. As an example, the world government knew about the Sun God Devil Fruit, they never went after it until the Devil Fruit was actually revealed in the story. There was never a single character in the story that mentioned Nika, but now that Nika was revealed, now all of a sudden everyone knows about Sun God Nika. But for 1000 chapters no one ever mentioned the Sun God Nika, because that makes sense, right? Shanks knew that Luffy had this super amazing godly ability, but he abandoned Luffy as a child. Knowing that Luffy had this amazing godly ability, knowing that everyone was after this ability, and I'm supposed to believe that Shanks just didn't care at all. He was like, hey little kid, you have the rarest ability in existence and I don't give a shit, bye. Hopefully the world government doesn't catch you. Oh well, bye bye, I don't give a shit. And the world government claimed that Nika always escapes us. But the only time they actually had this devil fruit in their hands, they sent a CP9 agent to guard it. Not an admiral, not even CP0. They sent a measly CP9 agent to guard the most amazing special devil fruit in existence, because that makes sense, right? The entire story is complete nonsense. What else can I say about it? Oh well, now let's talk about the moon. Because honestly, there is more evidence that the moon has some sort of a moon god, because the moon is very mysterious in One Piece. For example, the most powerful race of people in One Piece, the Lunarians. Lunarians. They are named after the moon and they are extremely powerful. They are able to fly, they can generate flames around their body and use the flames as an attack. Their skin is also very strong. It's almost impossible to cut them down. Then there's the mink tribe. During the full moon, the mink tribe becomes monsters. The entire tribe, hundreds of characters, during the moonlight, they turn into monsters. During the full moon, they gain massive muscles, their eyes become red. They grow a few feet taller, okay, they become massive. Their hair turns white, their fur turns white. They look completely different, they are like 10 times stronger. And it's all because of the moon. Another character that gets stronger during the moon is Kuro. During the crescent moon, Kuro becomes bloodthirsty, he becomes faster and stronger. How are all these characters able to become so much more powerful during the moonlight is still a mystery. There's something about the moon that's very special. The moon is very mysterious in One Piece. It has been very mysterious for a long time. When Enel went to the moon, there was oxygen on the moon. There were living beings on the moon. So there has been more hype towards the moon than the sun. Yet Oda decided to turn Luffy into a sun god with pretty much no established lore, no foreshadowing, and now he has to retcon the entire story. So it would make sense why Luffy is now the sun god. A lot of people say that Oda has everything planned out. One Piece reviewers love hyping up Oda and saying that he has everything planned out. He is a genius. I think that Oda ain't planned out shit.